Um, my best memory in the sport would probably be my first fight in the UFC. Um, it was just like something that I've been like dreaming about for a long time before I went pro. I dealt with so many
Hmm.
injuries and a lot of setbacks back then too. Even before I went pro, I was in 3 year setback where I kept breaking my forearm
Wow.
over and over. And it was hard to stay motivated and trying to tell my parents that I'm gonna be a UFC fighter, but I just kept breaking my
Yeah.
arm over and over. And so me getting that first win and being on the main card and like just going home to my like talking to my parents and just seeing my dad's eyes light up, like that meant the world to me. Like for him to be like, man, like dang, my daughter's a UFC fighter. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So for me, that was probably my most favorite part was being able to, just show my parents like, we're gonna, I'm gonna bring our name to like the big stage, and I made it happen, even though it was a struggle, and they probably thought I was a little bit crazy when I first started, and they're like, are you sure you think you're gonna get in the UFC? That's kind of crazy, because it just seems so far fetched, especially from where
Especially
we
at that
started.
time. Yeah, for
Yeah,
women, especially at that
and
time. Yeah.
they're like, okay, you really think that you're gonna make any money off of this? Like, good luck. They're like, I think she's just going through a phase, and then boom, I busted on there on the scene, and so that was definitely for me my most memorable, my favorite memory in the sport was my first fight in the UFC, getting in there and just seeing my parents and talking to them after my fight.
Yeah. Was it like a fighting family? I know, like, are both of them Mexican?
Yeah, they're both Mexican, so
And they watch
they,
fighting, and you grew up with that.
yeah, they kind of, well, my mom doesn't like watching fighting, but she is a
Mhm.
fighter. I'll tell you, she'll kick anyone's ass. Like
Yeah.
she's a tough
Yeah.
lady. My dad, he was more like, yeah, occasionally he'd like to say that he was undefeated in the streets. That's his thing, But we would watch some of the
Yeah.
boxing fights and stuff, but I would say he didn't get into MMA until I started doing MMA. But my
Mm.
family, nobody really did any sports and stuff like that. Since I'm first generation here in the United States, my parents literally just struggled. They just wanted to come here and to America and make, get better opportunities for the family. And so for them, my mom, honestly, this really scared her because she didn't know how to really give me any advice going into the sport. None
Mm.
of my family members did. None of them did
Yeah.
sports before where they competitively did sports. Not even like they might have played a little bit in high school or something here and there, but like nothing, anything serious that you have families that like, oh, it's their life. Like every weekend, they're
Oh,
taking their
all
kids
those
here.
wrestling families and stuff, like,
Oh yeah.
especially. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and so like I didn't really have that. It's not like my mom and dad were like, "Hey, you should go do this. You should go do that." They were actually anti-fighting at first, because they were just like, "I
Mm.
can't let my daughter, my youngest daughter, go out there and try to fight," and like so they thought it was pretty crazy. But my brother Freddie, he's a little bit closer to me in age, and he was born here in the U.S., but he did Muay Thai smokers, and he loves the MMA. He loves
Oh.
Pride. He loves that. So but he never really did it. He never did it at this level. So
Hmm.
it's really hard to like try to give me any kind of advice because I was like, So,
Yeah.
but
Like, my sister can beat me up, you know?
and so they are very supportive. And like now anything that I do in the sport, my mom just tells me, as long as you love it, I'm here to support you and stuff. But my dad loves it. Like it pretty much anytime we talk on the phone, all we talk about is fight stuff. Like he's like, oh, did you see this? What did you think about that? And blah blah blah. And
I
so
love that when, like, yeah, parents really get into it and, like, start bringing things
yeah.
up to you, you know?
Yeah. Especially because like in our culture, in Mexican culture, like my dad had to be like a hard ass. Like we're not used to like talking about feelings or like we didn't even say I love you a lot when we were younger. Like it was just kind of like,
Not
you
even
gotta
the
be
daughter?
tough,
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just kind of weird. Like now it's like it's different now because he's older and stuff. But back then it was difficult like that, and so having to be have MMA as a point for us to, have something in common was a way of us to showing love to each other. So that's like kind of turned into
Yeah.
a love language in between, like, just because we don't talk about other stuff really, because it's like
Mm.
it's just a part of the culture. We don't really talk about our feelings. We don't talk about stuff that's going on. So having this in common just kind of like, it was really sweet. Like that was something that, I loved about being in the sport is that it really brought our family together and like
Yeah.
even it was a form to show like love, through communication because like it was really hard before. Like I remember, I think when I was younger, I was like, why don't we say I love you to each other? Why is it so weird? Like I don't know, it's so weird. We just did
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
and so like now we make it a point. We every time all of us we always say I love you now like a whole lot more often than we used to. But I really love that, the sport brought us together like that.
It's not one of those shy, like, "I love you." "Okay, let's see violence now," you know? Like, "Let's
Yeah.
go back to violence. Let's go."
Yeah, it
Give me one of
could be like
those.
that. Oh, for sure. That's what it is sometimes, like, talking to my dad.
Like, "Okay, we got it out of the way. Let's go." Cool, but I love that. No, I love that, especially bringing it full circle after saying, like, how important family is and stuff in the beginning of this interview. How,
Yeah.
like, the sport actually helped in that and brought the family together. That's cool.